What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Wednesday, August 21st. We are finally back from Scotland, guys, back to daily uploads. We had a crazy travel day yesterday, so wasn't able to get the job done last night. So we're going to go ahead and hop in there and bring you a breakdown of this full Wednesday slate. Take a second to hit that like button. It's a big thank you for all this free content, and it only takes 1 second. It'll also help me get the channel ramping back up after being on vacation. If you like these videos, go ahead and join our community by subscribing so you don't miss out on our daily content. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day. I know there's a backlog, guys, but don't worry, I'm going to get after that. So let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day, the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the New York Mets. Baltimore comes into this game fresh off of a 9-5 win there in game 2 of that series there at New York. They're 74-53 on the year, pretty much cruising along. They're hitting the ball in this one to Cole Irvin, who comes into this game. He hasn't pitched in a while up in the big leagues, and he'd been coming out of the bullpen for a bit there, and just not somebody I have a ton of faith here in this exact spot. And also, guys, that Baltimore bullpen has been a huge problem. They're down to bottom 10 in the majors with a 4.18 bullpen ERA. So obviously that is a huge problem. The Orioles are banking on their, league leading, one of the best offenses in the major leagues, guys, just kind of bailing their pitching situation out for a while, or maybe for the rest of the season here. We'll just have to see, but they are still second in the majors in runs scored. They're still the top slugging percentage team in the majors. They're 7th in the MLB, batting .255 as a team, and yeah, their on-base percentage is .319, which is 11th in the majors. So yeah, really not a ton of terrible things to say about this offense. I mean, they've scored 9, 3, 4, 1, and 10 runs over their last few games. The problem kind of has been this pitching staff. So we'll see what they look like here going up against the Mets, who come into this game fresh off of a tough 9-5 loss there in game 2 of this series. They've actually lost 2 out of their last 3. They're 65-61 on the year, so still a lot of work to do. But for a team that was looking like they were going to be one of the worst teams in the majors there for a bit at the beginning of the season, I don't think they're too disappointed with the way things are working out at the moment. So they're hitting the ball in this one to Sean Manaea, who's 9-5 this year with a 3.46 ERA. So that's pretty solid stuff. His last couple of starts have been a little iffy for a guy that's been so good this season. I mean, he had only a 3-inning appearance there at Seattle where he just got shelled. He obviously didn't have his best stuff, guys. He walked 5 hitters in that little short start. So yeah, some weak stuff there from him. He bounced back a little bit with a decent 7-inning, 5-hit, 3 earned run allowed, win there against the Miami Marlins. So good stuff from him there against the Marlins, though. We're not exactly going to freak out about that. So giving up some runs, giving up some hits and stuff against 2 kind of weak hitting opponents his last couple of outings. Now he's got to go up against the Orioles, so it seems a little bit tough there. In terms of their bullpen, the Mets, not one of the best bullpens in the major leagues, guys, but they're closer to league average than a team like Baltimore. I mean, a 4.05 bullpen ERA leaves a lot to be desired, though. So going to keep an eye on that. This offense has been okay. I mean, it's shown top 10 stuff at multiple different points this year. So, maybe this could be a top 10 offense when it really matters down the stretch. But right now, they're 10th in the majors in runs scored, 12th in the majors, batting .249 as a team. Over the last few games, they've scored 5, 4, 2, 4, and 7 runs respectively. There's a series that spans their last 2 series, like this series against the Orioles and their last series against the Marlins. So we'll see what we get out of them in this one. I mean, they're going up against somebody they should definitely be able to hit and a bullpen they should really be able to take advantage of. So I'm expecting some decent stuff from the Mets today. And look at the numbers for this game, guys. We see the Orioles at +115, the Mets at -130, over under of 8.5 in this game. The Orioles are a great road team at 37-25 on the road. The Mets are 34-32 at home, so that's fine, not incredible. I think I'm leaning pretty hard towards the Mets -130 in this game. I don't have the utmost faith here in Manaea, but I think he should be able to get the job done and keep things, around where you want them to be. I have very little faith here in Cole Irvin, so we'll see what happens there. Definitely leaning towards the Mets -130, and I also think there's good reason to lean towards that over 8.5. We've got Baltimore. They are 38-21-3 to the over on the road, and the Mets are 34-32 to the over at home. So yeah, Baltimore being the best over team in the MLB on the road definitely makes us like the over a good amount. Next up, we've got the Boston Red Sox going on the road to take on the Houston Astros. The Red Sox come into this game fresh off of a 6-5 win there last night. Duran going 4 for 4 with a tie-breaking home run in the 8th. Definitely helps a lot. The Red Sox having a little bit of a rough time. They're still 7 games back there in the AL East. They're hitting the ball to Cooper Criswell in this game, who's been coming out of the bullpen here for a little bit. His last appearance was a 3 1/3 inning bullpen appearance against the Baltimore Orioles, where he got absolutely shelled. So not somebody we have a ton of confidence in. His last couple of outings have been really, really rough. In terms of their bullpen, what do we think about Boston? I mean, they haven't been amazing this season, guys. They've been really, really bad here down the stretch. They're in the bottom 5 currently with a 4.43 bullpen ERA. So major concerns for the entire Boston pitching staff coming into this game. In terms of their offense, they are coming off a game where they scored 6 runs, so that's nice. They've scored 6, 4, 2, 5, and 12 runs respectively over their last several games, but seems like things are cooling off a little bit right now. And yeah, just Boston, not a team that I'm feeling amazing about. They're taking on the Astros in this game, who obviously just lost that one, but they've been playing well recently. Playing series against teams like the White Sox will definitely help things look better, but generally speaking, at 68 and 57 on the year, they've now got a 5-game cushion over those floundering Seattle Mariners. So yeah, Houston has to feel good about how things are looking. They're hitting the ball to Justin Verlander, who's coming back for this one. We'll see how he looks out there. We've seen really good stuff and really mediocre stuff from him. His last start was back on June 9th, so been dealing with that neck issue and just, I would say, generally being super old overall. I mean, 41 years old, that's a bit tough, but I think we can expect to see decent stuff here from Verlander. Although he's going up against the Red Sox, that could be a bit of a tough situation. In terms of their offense, the Astros come into this game. I mean, they've scored 5, 5, 2, 6, and 4 runs respectively over their last several. I mean, games against the White Sox, I'm not really sure how much you can take from that, but overall, I think we feel okay about their offense. Their bullpen has also been, rounding into form pretty aggressively, guys. They're up to 4th in the majors in bullpen ERA with a bullpen ERA of 3.55. That's 4th. They're only behind Cleveland, Milwaukee, and Atlanta. That's pretty wild to see this bullpen be so good after being so bad early in the year. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Red Sox at plus 128, the Astros at minus 144. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. We see Boston is 37 and 27 on the road, so a pretty good road team. Houston is 35 and 28 at home, so a pretty good home team. In terms of the over-under, we've got some interesting numbers here, though, guys. We've got the Red Sox. They're the second best MLB team to the over when playing on the road. They are 37, 24, and 3 to the over on the road. Houston's actually an under team, a borderline significant under team at home, so that makes us a little bit worried. But in general in this game, guys, I'm kind of scared away from either side. I slightly like Houston minus 144, but I think the real value on this game is taking over 8.5. I think we're going to see plenty of offense from Boston. I don't think Verlander is going to be necessarily lights out, although Houston's bullpen being better does make me maybe a little bit worried. But yeah, the Red Sox pitching situation is terrible, so yeah, go ahead and give me the Astros minus 144 and definitely a look at that over. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Pittsburgh Pirates going on the road to take on the Texas Rangers. The Pirates come into this game fresh off of a 4-0 win there in game 2 of this series to even things up at 1 game apiece. At 59 and 66 on the year, I don't think Pittsburgh's headed anywhere amazing this season. They're hitting the ball to Domingo Germán, who it comes into this game. He's going to be making his fourth appearance this season, but it's going to be his first start. He's looked, I will say, decent in relief appearances. Not somebody I'm super high on, but he has been going up against very tough competition. So far, he's pitched against the Dodgers, the Padres, and Seattle Mariners. So maybe Seattle not the toughest opponent, but yeah, generally speaking, the dude's been pitching against some pretty good teams. In terms of the Pirates bullpen, how do we feel? I mean, it's been a problem all season pretty much, guys. A 4.24 bullpen ERA has them easily in the bottom 10 in the majors, so that's not great. And the offense, not exactly killing it right now, guys. 4, 3, 3, and 7 runs respectively over their last few games. We've seen O'Neal Cruz do some good stuff recently. Obviously, Brian Reynolds is out there doing his thing, but yeah, they're going to be missing Hayes. He's on the IL now, and just not an offense overall that I've been super high on this season. So we'll see what they can do here against the Rangers, who come into this game obviously not having the best season at 58 and 69 on the year. They're handing the ball in this one to Andrew Heaney, who's 4 and 13 this season with a 4.20 ERA. His last couple starts have been pretty rocky, but those were starts against hard-hitting teams like the Yankees and the Twins. His start before that against Houston back on the 5th was very, very good. 6 innings, only 1 hit and 1 earned run allowed. So I think we could see a little bit of a bounce back from him getting to pitch against a team that's not, putting such sluggers out there, so that could help a little bit. In terms of their bullpen, obviously we're very worried about the Rangers, guys. 4th worst in the majors with a 4.48 bullpen ERA. Not very good. The offense also not great, guys. They've scored 0, 4, 6, and 2 runs respectively over their last few games. Seager really trying to carry the load for them. I mean, he had a 2-home run game a couple days ago, I believe. And yeah, but overall, guys, 18th in the majors in runs scored, 23rd in slugging percentage. This is just not a very hard-hitting team. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Pirates at plus 140, the Rangers at minus 160, which seems a bit steep. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Pirates are a bit below 500 on the road. The Rangers are a bit above 500 at home. So those are things to, I guess, take into account, but we're looking at the over-under potentially again in this game, guys. We've got the Pirates, they are a slight under team on the road, but the Rangers are the biggest under team at home in the major leagues, guys. 41, 21, and 2 to the under when playing at home. So yeah, a full 8.5 here. I would assume that's based a lot on the Pirates pitching situation being pretty weak and both bullpens being pretty bad, but I do think under 8.5 has some value in this game. Rapid fire through these games here, guys, trying to get this video out to you as soon as possible. We've got the Chicago White Sox going on the road to take on the San Francisco Giants. The White Sox come into this game losers of their last 4 in a row. No major shock there. They're hitting the ball in this one to Garrett Crochet, who's 6-9 on the season with a 3.61 ERA. He finally had kind of a bounce back here. I mean, it seems like they're definitely throttling his, his innings, his pitches, all that down as much as they can possibly justify. His last start was an excellent one against the Astros, though, guys. 4 innings, 9 strikeouts, only 1 earned run allowed. So maybe he's back after it. Maybe he's going to be good out there again. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, the White Sox have one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball, and they have the worst offense in the MLB. Really no question about that at this point. It's been pretty embarrassing all season long. So not expecting them to score really any runs. They've scored 1, 3, 0, 1, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games. So they're taking on the San Francisco Giants, who come into this game. They've been cruising so far in this series, winning 4-1 and 5-3 over the first couple of games. They're 65 and 63 on the year. This is a team that definitely still has some hope this season. They're hitting the ball to Logan Webb, who's been lights out this year, guys. 11-8 on the season with a 3.17 ERA. His last couple of starts have been fantastic. He just shut down the Atlanta Braves his last time out. 7 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 0 runs allowed, 7 strikeouts, and 1 walk. He had a very similar kind of start there against the Tigers in his start before that. So expecting great stuff from Logan Webb here against a very, very bad opponent. In terms of their bullpen, that's been a bit of a struggle for the Giants, but a 4.12 bullpen ERA at least has them out of the bottom 10 in the majors, and they get to pitch against a team like the White Sox, so that has to feel pretty freaking great. In terms of the Giants offense, they've scored 4, 5, 4, 0, and 6 runs respectively over their last few. Those are spanning games against the White Sox, Oakland, and 1 game there against Atlanta. So yeah, we'll give them a little bit of credit. I wouldn't say they're swinging the hottest bats right now, but this has been an average offensive team pretty much all season long. So I expect them to be able to do something here. If not against Crochet, I think they'll be fine against that terrible White Sox bullpen that I think is going to get at least 5 innings of work in this game. So looking at the numbers for this one, we see we've got the White Sox at plus 200. We've got the Giants at minus 230. We've got an over-under of only 7 in this game. The White Sox 12 and 53 on the road. The Giants are 38 and 27 at home. That's a very, very solid. Obviously, that's a very expensive price, but if you wanted to take a look at the Giants minus 1.5, you can get them at plus 100. That seems very appealing to me. I think they're going to score plenty of runs. If not against Crochet, which is looking at like, he seems like he's back on track here, I think they'll have their way with that White Sox bullpen. So go ahead and give me the Giants minus 1.5 in this spot. I'm not too interested in the side in terms of the money line. In terms of the over-under of only 7, I could maybe see myself shading towards the over potentially, but generally speaking, I just like that Giants minus 1.5. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks going on the road to take on the Miami Marlins. The Diamondbacks come into this game fresh off of a 3-1 win there in game 2 of this series. A very low scoring one there. We've got the Diamondbacks at 71 and 56 on the year, though. They're looking like one of the hottest, scariest teams in the major leagues right now. They're hitting the ball to Jordan Montgomery, who's 8-6 this season with a 6.25 ERA. His last start was a decent one, I guess, against the Rockies. I mean, 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. He struck out 8 and walked 3. Against a team like the Rockies, that's not great. I mean, he's given up 3 and 4 earned runs respectively over his last couple games. Had a good start against the Pirates, but start against the Nationals where he gave up 6 earned runs. So yeah, he seems very hittable to me. In terms of their bullpen, the Diamondbacks have been showing improvement, no doubt about it, but a 4.12 bullpen ERA, not looking insane to me. In terms of their offensive production, I mean, obviously we saw Corbin Carroll hit that home run in that Diamondbacks win yesterday. They've scored 3, 9, 7, 1, and 4 runs respectively over their last few. So honestly, not swinging the hottest bats right now for a team that's first in the majors in runs scored, 4th in the majors, batting .259 as a team. Like, this is an amazing offensive team. I think we're going to see them snap out of that any time now, and it could be in this game going up against the Marlins, who come into this one losers of 5 of their last 6 and at 46 and 80 on the year. Obviously not having a great time. They're hitting the ball to Rodri Munoz, who's 2-7 this season with a 5.88 ERA. His last start against the Mets was not a good one, guys. 3 1/3 innings, gave up 5 runs, 4 of them were earned. Just not somebody we can really trust out there on the mound. His last few starts, all very, very mixed results, and just not somebody that, he's a young guy. He's 24. We can't expect consistency, and the Marlins are just trying to see what they have here in a season that they are clearly not going to be very competitive in. The Marlins bullpen is a little bit better than you would expect, guys. I mean, a 3.94 bullpen ERA, obviously not among the league leaders, but not in the dumps where you see teams like the White Sox and stuff like that. So give them a bit of credit there. The offense has not been killing it. They scored 1, 6, 3, 0, and 3 runs, respectively, over their last few. They're 29th in the majors in runs scored, so that's a bit of a concern. But yeah, generally speaking, not a team that I'm super high on. And looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Diamondbacks at minus 162, the Marlins at plus 142. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this one. Diamondbacks are a decent road team, 34 and 30 on the road. Miami is only 24 and 41 at home, so that's pretty bad. Arizona is a significant, a slight over team on the road. We'll say 32, 28, and 4 to the over on the road, but the Marlins are a league-leading 45, 18, and 2 to the over when playing at home. That's an MLB best to the over at home. So, yeah, guys, we're not going to overcomplicate this. I do think Arizona probably wins this game, but I think the value in this one is definitely on over 8.5. I think we could see the Diamondbacks score 9 runs all on their own. I do think we'll see the Marlins score some runs themselves, though. So, yeah, go ahead and give me over 8.5. I think this is an excellent spot. Next up, guys, we've got the Minnesota Twins going on the road to take on the San Diego Padres. The Twins come into this game losers of their last 3 in a row. They've lost the first 2 games of this series, so that has to be a tough pill to swallow. They're 70 and 56 on the year, though, so not having a bad time. They're hitting the ball to Simeon Woods Richardson, who's 4-3 this season with a 3.77 ERA. He's coming off a good start, albeit against the Rangers. I mean, 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and a 4-3 win for the Twins. That's not terrible. They'll definitely take that. He's been very good over his last 3 starts, so give him some credit, although not really against the toughest hitting opponents. So we'll see what he does here in a different kind of matchup for him and going against a team that he has not faced this season. In terms of their bullpen, the Twins have been a little bit all over the place this season. They've settled around league average there with a 3.95 bullpen ERA, so not a disaster. The offense, they've been hitting, guys. They've scored 5, 3, and 5 runs respectively over this 3-game losing streak, so it hasn't been like a total power outage or anything like that. They're still top 10 in runs scored. They're 10th in the majors in batting average, 6th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, this is not a bad offensive team, so we'll see if they can get back on track here going up against the Padres, who come into this one winners of 3 of their last 4. They're hitting the ball in this game to Matt Waldron, who's 7 and 10 on the year with a 4.29 ERA. His last start was a debacle there at the Colorado guys. Coors Field did not treat him well back on the 16th. 5 2/3 innings, 9 hits, 7 earned runs. 3 out of his last 4 starts have all been very, very problematic, and they haven't been against the toughest opponents. Getting shelled by a team like the Miami Marlins, not a great look. Getting shelled by the Dodgers, maybe we can give you a little bit of a pass, but not super stoked on how Matt Waldron is throwing the ball right now. And how do we feel about the Padres bullpen? They've made their way to around league average, so give them some credit there. I mean, it's not necessarily a bullpen that I'm super duper high on, and they haven't been having a fantastic time maybe lately, but we'll give them a little bit of credit. It's not a bullpen that I'm terrified of, but looking at this offense, guys, they've scored 7, 5, 2, 8, and 3 runs respectively over their last few. Definitely seems like a very, a very solid offensive team. They're top 10 in runs scored. They're the best batting average team in the MLB. They're 7th in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 326 clip, and they're 11th in the majors in slugging percentage. So generally speaking, you can expect the Padres to hit the ball. And looking at the numbers for this one, guys, we got the Twins at plus 110, the Padres at minus 125. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Twins are 34 and 32 on the road. The Padres are 35 and 28 at home. We've got both teams showing some slight trends towards the over. Well, I would say Minnesota's trend is slight, and the Padres being 38, 24, and 1 to the over at home is a pretty big trend. We've also got Waldron really struggling. The Twins due for a breakout offensive game. Like, guys, this looks like another over spot to me. I also don't hate taking the Twins plus 110. That makes some sense to me as well, but I do think over 8.5 is better value in this game than the Twins plus 110. I think we're going to see plenty of offense in this game, even if, we have some bounce back here from Waldron and a decent outing from Simeon Woods Richardson. I think we could still get to that number with these 2 offenses. Next up, guys, with the Colorado Rockies going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Rockies come into this game 47 and 79 on the year, but they have won 3 out of their last 4. They're hitting the ball to Tanner Gordon, who 0-4 in the season with a 7.00 ERA. He's going to be making, another start here. His last one did not go great. He only lasted 2/3 of an inning there against the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is somebody we have plenty of concern about. He's 26 years old, so I don't know, man. They're just trying to see what they've got. He's had some good outings. Like, he had a good start against Atlanta, had a very good start there against San Diego, but he's also had some terrible ones against teams like the Mets, the Giants, and this last one against the Diamondbacks. So we'll see what we get out of this young guy. Not really expecting miracles here. In terms of their bullpen, obviously the Rockies have been the worst bullpen team in the major leagues all season long, a 5.56 bullpen ERA. The number just seems to get bigger and bigger. I mean, over the last few games, it's maybe been a little bit better, but yeah, over the course of the year, pretty horrendous. In terms of their offense, they've scored 3, 3, 3, 7, and 4 runs respectively over their last few. They're 17th in the majors in runs scored, 22nd in the majors in on-base percentage, though. Just not necessarily an offense that I'm super high on. They're going up against the Nationals, who come into this game losers of 5 of their last 6. They're sitting at 56 and 70 on the year, handing the ball to Mitchell Parker, who's 6 and 7 this season with a 4.44 ERA. His last start, he got obliterated at the Phillies, guys. 3 innings, 10 hits, 9 earned runs. A departure from his 3 starts before that. He had good starts against the Angels, the Brewers, and a very good start there against the Arizona Diamondbacks, which is pretty impressive. How do we really feel about Mitchell Parker at the moment? I mean, he's a young guy that's having a good season. We'll see how he looks out there going up against the Rockies. Not exactly the scariest hitting team. In terms of their bullpen, the Nationals have they've had their struggles this season, but right now they're sitting somewhere around the middle of the league there with a 4.11 bullpen ERA, so not a complete disaster, but also not great. In terms of their hitting, their offense right now, guys, they've scored 1, 6, 1, 2, and 3 runs respectively over their last few games. Ice cold right now, guys. They're down to 19th in the majors in runs scored, 25th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, this is not an offensive team to be afraid of. So right now, looking at the numbers, we've got the Rockies at plus 136, the Nationals at minus 158. We've got an over-under of 8.5. We've got both teams showing slight trends towards the over. We've got the Rockies being a terrible road team, the Nationals being a pretty decent team at home. The price tag doesn't entice me that much, the Nationals minus 158, but I'm not going to take a minus 1.5 in this spot. So just go ahead and give me the Nationals to win this game. I think they win it the vast majority of the time, but not probably enough for me to put it in the pinned comment. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at what is probably the marquee game of the day. We've got the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. The Guardians come into this game fresh off of a solid 9-5 win there at Yankee Stadium in Game 1 of this series. Took them a long time to figure things out, though. 12 innings, the longest game so far this season. Kind of makes me sad we don't see those like 19, 20 inning marathon games anymore, but what are you going to do? The Guardians are handing the ball in this one to Joey Cantillo. He comes into this game 0-2 on the season with a 6.23 ERA. He's only going to be making his 4th start of the year. His first 3, there have been some highs, there's been some lows, but not maybe amazing stuff. I mean, his last time out, it was at the Twins, so a decent hitting team, 5 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. He had 2 home runs in that game, which is a big concern about to go up against a team like the Yankees. So we'll see what we get out of him in this one. I mean, I'm not super duper optimistic in terms of their bullpen, though, guys. The Guardians maintain the best bullpen in the major leagues, guys. A 2.65 bullpen ERA. Pretty crazy stuff there. The offense, you don't really know when it's going to show up. I mean, obviously, they did score 9 runs yesterday. Do I expect them to be able to replicate that performance in this one? I absolutely do not. They're 13th in the majors in runs scored, 19th in batting average, batting .238 as a team. Just generally speaking, not an offense that I'm super high on. So we'll see what they can do here against the Yankees, who've now dropped 3 straight games. They're 73 and 53 on the year. They're a half game back there of Baltimore in the AL East. They're hitting the ball to Nestor Cortez in this game, who's 6 and 10 this season with a 4.20 ERA. His last start was against the White Sox. It was a dazzlingly great start. 7 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs allowed, and 9 strikeouts while walking 0. That's great, but it was against the freaking Chicago White Sox, so I am not going to be freaking out about that. He'd been having a pretty rough time there before that for a few starts, and generally speaking, just not somebody that I'm super high on. How do we feel about the Yankees bullpen? It's also having a plethora of issues right now, guys. They're down to a 3.74 bullpen ERA, which is still, hovering there above MLB average, but I've got some questions about the Yankees pitching staff in general in this game. So, yeah, guys, looking at their offense, they scored 5, 2, 0, and 3 runs respectively over their last few. Not having the best time recently, which is kind of weird. We expect great things out of this just out of this offense in general. I mean, over the course of the year, they're the third highest scoring team in the MLB. They're first in on base percentage. Like, they got to get back on track at some point here, guys. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Guardians at plus 158, the Yankees at minus 167. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Cleveland 35-32 on the road. The Yankees 32-28 at home. So no huge real trends to lean on there. In terms of the over-under, we've got Cleveland as a significant under team on the road, and the Yankees are actually a significant over team at home. So that's something to look at as well. I mean, 34-25-1 to the over at home. Guys, this is a kind of a rough game to figure out. I do kind of expect the Yankees to bounce back and win this one theoretically, but what I think is much more likely is that we see a lot of offense in this game. I know I'm looking at a lot of overs here today, but when you get into this time of the year, that's the time to be playing the overs, and we've got only an over-under of 8.5. I would probably take over 9 in this game. So yeah, over 8.5 in this one has a very reasonable chance to end up there in the pinned comment. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Reds come into this game fresh off of a 10-3 loss there against Toronto in game 2 of that series. They're 61-65 on the year, not having a dream season necessarily. They're hitting the ball to Nick Martinez, who's going to be making the start here. He's been in the starting rotation here for let's see, this will be his 4th straight starting appearance. Good start against Miami, very good start at Milwaukee, and then he had a little bit of trouble pitching at home against the Kansas City Royals his last time out. So we'll give the guy some credit. He's been throwing the ball well recently, no doubt about that. In terms of their bullpen, the Reds have been much better than I would have expected at the beginning of the year. They're currently 6th in the majors right now with a 3.58 bullpen ERA, so absolutely nothing wrong with that. The question for this team always seems to come down for, are they going to score any runs? They're 14th in the majors in runs scored. That's cool, but a lot of those runs have came in blowout games, guys. They're 28th in the majors in batting average. They are 25th in the majors in on base percentage. They've scored 3, 6, 1, 1, 1, and 9 runs respectively over their last few games. So not necessarily an offense that I am very high on. They're taking on the Blue Jays in this game, who are 59-67 on the year. They have won 2 out of their last 3, but not a lot to feel great about this year for them. They're hitting the ball to Yariel Rodriguez, who's 1-5 this season with a 3.93 ERA. His last start was at the Cubs, guys. 5 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned runs. He gave up 3 home runs in that game. I would guess that could be a wind blowing out situation, but yeah, generally speaking, not a situation that I'm going to be super excited about. Over his last 5 starts, he's got some good outings in there, no doubt about it. So not somebody that I necessarily expect to be terrible, but he's also somebody that went 2/3 of an inning against Baltimore back on July 29th. So definitely some concerns there. Major concerns about that Toronto bullpen, guys. They've been one of the worst 4 or 5 bullpens in the major leagues this season, a 4.93 bullpen ERA. Not really going to get me excited. This offense, they're hitting the ball. I mean, they're coming off a game where they scored 10 runs, but they've scored 10, 3, 1, 2, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games. They're 20th in the majors in runs scored, 18th in the majors in batting average. Like, outside of guys like, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and stuff like that, this just isn't an offense that gets me going. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Reds at minus 109, the Blue Jays at minus 106. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this one. Cincinnati's 30-31 on the road. Toronto is 30-32 at home. We've got some very slight trends for Cincinnati towards the over on the road. Toronto is a significant over team at home. So if you want to take a look at over 8.5, you could definitely do that. Right now, guys, I'm leaning towards the Reds minus 109. I think with Martinez out there on the mound, they're going to be fine. They'll find some offense here against Rodriguez or against that Toronto bullpen, since Rodriguez doesn't technically, usually go deep into games. So go ahead and give me the Reds in this one. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the Atlanta Braves. The Phillies come into this game fresh off of a tough 3-1 loss there in game 1 of this series. They are 73-52 on the year. Handing the ball in this one to Aaron Nola, who's 11-6 this season with a 3.45 ERA. His last time out, it was a good start against the Nationals. It was the Nationals, guys, so not exactly the toughest opponent there. 6 2/3 innings, 7 hits, no runs allowed. He did have trouble with Arizona, the Dodgers, and had a little bit of trouble against the Yankees, but I mean, who hasn't had trouble against those teams? So we'll cut him a little bit of slack there. I'm expecting good stuff from him in this start, generally speaking. In terms of the, we've got the Phillies bullpen. That's always a problem, guys. A 4.16 bullpen ERA. Definitely not a bullpen that I'm excited to see out there. We're hoping for a long start here from Nola. That would take some pressure off the bullpen for sure. In terms of their offense, they got to score some runs, guys. They haven't hit the ball well over their last couple of games. I mean, 1 and 4 runs respectively over their last 2. Not a disaster, but not great. I'm expecting the offense to definitely come back in this one. This is one of the better offensive teams in the majors. Definitely a top, I would say, 8 or 5 or maybe even more than that offense. Like 6th in batting average, 6th in on base percentage. Like, this is a very, very good offensive team. They're going to figure it out very soon. They're taking on the Atlanta Braves in this one, who've now won 3 in a row. They're 67-58 on the year. They're hitting the ball in this one to Max Fried, who's 7-7 this season with a 3.62 ERA. He's coming off of another pretty mediocre start, guys. Ever since the All-Star game, definitely problems. He's given up 5 earned runs to the Marlins, 4 earned runs, 5 runs overall to the Rockies, and then just gave up 3 earned runs on 5 hits over 5 1/3 against the Giants in a game we eventually saw the Braves lose 6-0. So not feeling great about Fried right now in terms of their bullpen. Obviously, we always feel pretty good about Atlanta, a 3.28 bullpen ERA. Top 3 in the majors at the moment. The offense has scored 3, 3, and 11 runs respectively over their last few games, but not an offense that I'm super high on at the moment. Seeming pretty average to me. 16th in runs scored, 17th in batting average, batting .241 as a team. Like, they just not an offense that's really killing it at the moment. So we'll see what they can do out there. But looking at the numbers for this game, we got the Phillies at plus 102, the Braves at minus 110. We've got an over-unders showing of 8 or 7.5. The Phillies are 30-29 on the road. Atlanta is 33-26 at home. We've got mixed trends towards the over-under here. Atlanta being a big under team at home, and generally speaking in this game, guys, I do think under 8 has some value. I also don't hate the Phillies at plus 102 or anything like that, but yeah, I do think under 8 has some value, but I wouldn't blame you for taking the Phillies plus 102 either. Rolling right along here, guys, we're looking at the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Brewers come into this game winners of their last, 6 in a row? Yeah, they won game 1 of the series 3-2, so that was a very close one. The Brewers are 73-52 on the year. They've got an 11.5 game lead there in the NL Central, so very little for them to worry about handing the ball to Tobias Myers here, who's 6-5 on the year with a 2.81 ERA. He's coming off of a mediocre start, maybe decent start, we'll say, against the Dodgers. I mean, it is the Dodgers, so that's a pretty tough opponent, but generally speaking, he's been throwing the ball great this season. The last time he faced the Cardinals was quite some time ago, back in, May or something like that? Yeah, so not a lot to be gleaned from that, but definitely feel good about how Myers is throwing the ball at the moment. In terms of their bullpen, the Brewers have been one of the better bullpens in the majors over the for a long time now, it feels like, guys. A very, very good bullpen. They are second behind only the Guardians. In terms of their offense, 3, 2, 2, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games is not ideal, but they're getting enough across the plate to get the job done. Obviously, they're going to be missing Yelich for the rest of the season, but that's not a big surprise. That's been going on for quite some time. This team is still 3rd in the majors in on-base percentage and 8th in the majors in batting average. So they're going up against the Cardinals, who have been having a really bad time recently, guys. What is it now? They've lost 7 of the last 8 games overall to fall to 61-64 on the season. They're hitting the ball to Kyle Gibson in this game, who's 7-5 this year with a 4.26 ERA. His last few starts have been very, very problematic. He just got shelled by the Reds his last time out, so not somebody that's having a very good time at all. Let's see, when was the last time? Yeah, he faced the Milwaukee Brewers back in May, and he was fine, but not great. So yeah, not somebody that I'm super high on in this game, and just not the Cardinals, just not a team that I'm super high on right now in general. Their bullpens come together a bit, guys. They're top 10, I think, in the majors with a 3.65 bullpen ERA. The offense is gone, though, guys. They've scored 2, 1, 5, 6, 2, 1, 1, and 3 runs respectively over their last long stretch here. Just not having a good time. 24th in the majors in runs scored. 13th in the majors in batting average, but yeah, they're just not scoring any runs, guys. Not anything positive to say about the Cardinals at the moment. So looking at the numbers for this game, we got the Brewers at minus 102, the Cardinals at minus 110. We've got an over-under of 7.5. Milwaukee is 35-28 on the road. The Cardinals are basically a 500 team at home. We don't see any huge trends here towards the over-under, but guys, I like the Brewers minus 102 in this spot a lot. The Cardinals have been terrible lately. I don't think that's going to change right now. Especially don't think it's going to change with Tobias Myers on the mound for the Brewers, and Kyle Gibson's not somebody I trust, so go ahead and give me the Brewers minus 102 in this one. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Chicago Cubs. We saw the Tigers take the 3-1 loss there in game 1 of this series, which, the Tigers have honestly been playing great coming into this series. They had won, 6 of their last 7 games to get to 61-65 on the year. We don't have a confirmed starter still for the Tigers for this game, so we don't know who they're going to be putting out there on the mound. It's making me think it's going to be a bullpen start here for the Tigers, which is a little bit of a concern, but not a massive one, guys. A 3.94 bullpen ERA is not a disaster. The offense has not been amazing, even over this winning streak. They did have a 15-run game, but other than that, they've been still keeping things pretty low scoring, and not a huge shock for a team that's 28th in the majors in on-base percentage and 25th in batting average. they're going to be going up against the Cubs here, who are handing the ball in this one to Jameson Taillon, hoping that he can, do a little bit to lift this team that's 11.5 games back there in the NL Central. Taillon comes into this one 8-7 on the year with a 3.62 ERA. His last couple of starts have been very problematic, though, and that's against Cleveland and at the Chicago White Sox. So not somebody that comes into this game throwing the ball particularly well. So a bit concerned about Taillon in this game, and not that concerned about that Cubs bullpen, though, guys. They've been pretty good recently. They're top, 8th in the majors now with a 3.59 bullpen ERA. The offense has been a problem for the Cubs all season long, though, guys. 3, 3, and 6 runs respectively over their last few games. 20th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in batting average. Just not an offensive juggernaut. So looking at the numbers for this one, guys, we've got the Tigers at plus 140, the Cubs at minus 159. We've got an over-under showing out there of 8 or 7.5. The Tigers 30-33 on the road. The Cubs are 35-28 at home. We see mixed trends towards the over-under here, and I'm not particularly interested in the over-under. I mean, with 8 and 7.5 shown out there, if you wanted to take over 7.5, be my guest. That's definitely playable to me, but I kind of like the Tigers plus 140 here. I would like to see a confirmed starter before I end up getting anything down on this one. But yeah, I think they're going to have a decent chance to win this game. Taillon has been struggling. I don't think there's any particular reason to think he's going to snap out of it here. And if we end up with a close game, I think taking the plus 140 makes a lot of sense. Next up, guys, we've got the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the Kansas City Royals. The Angels come into this game 54-72 on the year, not having a great time. They did win 9-5 in game 2 of this series, so that probably felt great. But we've got a big question mark on the mound for the Angels in this one. We've got Johnny Cueto at 38 years old running out there to try and fire back up his major league career. So we'll see what we get out of him. I am holding my breath a little bit for him. We'll see. I don't have super high expectations, though, guys. I think there's a decent chance that he could struggle out there, but yeah, coming out of the minor leagues, he's put in the work. We'll see what he can do. Good luck to him for sure. I remember the glory days of Johnny Cueto. I just think those might be in the past. In terms of their bullpen, obviously the Angels bullpen not among the better ones in the MLB, so that's a big concern in this game, especially if they end up, seeing a lot of work. They've been a bit better recently. I mean, a 4.11 ERA isn't, where they were earlier in the year, so they've been heading in a positive direction, but still a bullpen that I'm concerned about. I'm also concerned about their offense, guys. They've scored 9, 3, 1, 3, and 3 runs respectively over their last few games. They're 25th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in the majors in slugging percentage. This was not a team that was designed to exist without Mike Trout, and now that they've had to do this pretty much all season long, yeah, just not a lot of positives coming down the pike here for this offense. So we'll see what they can do here against the Royals, who come into this game. They were looking real good there. They won 5 in a row before losing the game 2 of this series. They're 70-56 on the year, handing the ball to Michael Lorenzen, who's 6-6 this season with a 3.68 ERA. His last start was at the Reds, and he was dominant. 5 2 through innings, 2 hits, only a single earned run allowed. Still showing some slight control issues, but I would say that was pretty solidly his best start there since, getting traded to the Royals. So Kansas City will definitely take that. They would love if their bullpen could be a little bit better, though. They're currently 6th worst in the majors with a 4.31 bullpen ERA, so that's a big concern. Maybe not as big of a concern against the Angels, but we'll see. Their offense has been very, very good, though, guys. Bobby Witt Jr. killing it, leading the way for them. They've scored 5, 8, 13, 7, and 4 runs respectively over their last few games, so they are just rolling right along here. And no shocker, guys, we're seeing a expensive price tag on the Royals at somewhere around minus 180 is what I'm seeing out there, but it's been changing a bit, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that price right now. But Angels are a big underdog. The Royals are a big favorite. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. The Angels are 27-32 on the road. The Royals are 39-26 at home, so a dominant home team. We've got some very slight trends towards the over, and with an over-under of 9, though, I don't know if I'm really interested in that. I do think it's worth taking a look at the Royals minus 1.5 in this one. If you take a minus 1.5, you can get about plus 110. That seems very, very playable to me. I think we're going to see plenty of offense from Kansas City in this one going up against Cueto, and it'd be great if the Royals bullpen could hold down the Angels. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. The Rays come into this game fresh off a 1-0 win in Game 2 of this series. They've actually won 4 out of their last 5 games to get to 63-62 on the year. They're handing the ball in this one to Ryan Pepiot, who's 6-5 this season with a 3.69 ERA. His last start was back on the 16th, guys, and he was very good in that one against the Diamondbacks. 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. None of them were earned. He had 5 strikeouts in that game. Pepiot, a very solid young pitcher, if you ask me. He's dealt with some injury stuff this season, so when healthy, I think we can expect to see great stuff from him. In terms of the bullpen, the Tampa Bay bullpen has not been as bad as it was early in the season. Not at all, guys. They're clearly in the top half of the majors now with a 3.80 bullpen ERA, so they'll certainly take that given where they were at earlier in the season. The offense, not exactly killing it, guys. They've scored 1, 0, 8, 6, and 5 runs respectively, so just not killing it so far in this particular series, but they're 28th in the majors this year in runs scored and 27th in slugging percentage. So not an offense that I'm super high on, but they're going up against the Oakland A's, a team that's also having some trouble on offense, guys. They are 54 and 72 on the year, hitting the ball to Mitch Spence in this one, who's 7 and 8 this season with a 4.64 ERA. He is coming off of a real bad start against the Mets, guys. 2 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, and a home run given up in that one. Honestly, his last 3 starts have all been pretty problematic, so not somebody that I'm super high on at this moment. The A's bullpen has been much better than you would expect, guys. They're sitting 5th in the majors right now with a 3.58 bullpen ERA. The offense, though, the offense is nowhere to be found, guys. They've scored 0, 3, 2, 2, 7, and 1 run respectively over their last few games. They're 27th in the majors in batting average. They are 24th in on-base percentage. Like, just not an offense that I can really get behind. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Rays at -130, the A's at +112. We've got an over-under of only 7.5 in this game. Guys, I know 7.5 is a pretty small number, but you could definitely get me interested in under 7.5. You could also get me interested in the Tampa Bay Rays at -130 in this game. I like Pepio out there on the mound a lot, so probably I think under 7.5 is the value in this spot. Last but not least, guys, we've got the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the LA Dodgers. The Mariners come into this game. They're having a rough time. Now they're 5 games back in the AL West of Houston. They're hitting the ball in this one to Logan Gilbert, who's 7 and 9 this year with a 2.96 ERA. He's coming off of a rough start against the Pirates. 6 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them were earned. Just clearly did not have his best stuff out there. So we'll see if this young guy can bounce back. He's had a great season overall. We'll just see what we get from him in this one. In terms of their bullpen, guys, Seattle not having the best time. A 3.97 bullpen ERA is not nearly good enough to hold up this offense, which has been real bad, guys. 3, 0, 10, 2, 3, 1, and 2 runs respectively. They had a little boost there around the All-Star break where it was looking like the moves they were making were going to work and pay off immediately, and this offense was suddenly going to be good, but that has not really come to pass, guys. They're dead last in batting average in the majors. They're second to last in slugging percentage. Like, this is just not a good offense. They're going to have to score some runs here against the Dodgers, who come into this game winners of their last 3 in a row. They are 75 and 52 on the year. They are only 3 games up on the Padres and 4 games up on Arizona there in the NL West. So the Dodgers have to be motivated right now. Hayward hit a very clutch pinch hit home run for them. We've seen Mookie Betts coming back definitely help. The Dodgers are hitting the ball to Jack Flaherty in this game, another big addition who should definitely help, guys. 9 and 5 on the year with a 3.06 ERA. His last start wasn't amazing. I mean, at the Milwaukee Brewers, a tough opponent. 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, and 2 home runs allowed, so not great. And his start before that against the Pirates was also not dominant, so have some questions here about Flaherty, how he's settling in here pitching for the Dodgers. In terms of their bullpen, the Dodgers have had a little bit of a downturn recently, but a 3.58 bullpen ERA doesn't exactly fill me with doom and dread, and the offense just keeps on going, guys. 6 runs in their last game. They scored 6, 3, 2, 2, and 7 runs over their last few, so still rounding into form here. We've seen Muncy do some good things. I mean, this team's 5th in the majors in runs scored and 9th in batting average. They're the 4th best slugging percentage team in the majors. I'm expecting good stuff from them pretty much on a nightly basis. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Mariners at +150, the Dodgers at -165. We've got an over-unders showing of 7.5 or 8 out there. Seattle, pretty bad road team. The Dodgers, a great home team, 40 and 21 at home. We see both teams showing trends towards the over, actually, which is pretty intriguing. And generally speaking, guys, I think that might be where the value is in this game. I'm not wanting to take the Mariners +150 necessarily, although that doesn't seem like a disaster given who they've got on the mound, but I think over 7.5 is very, very live in this game. I think we're going to see hitting from both teams, and I think regardless, 7.5, not a big number. I think we can get over that. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out StumpTheSpread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.